this episode is an unusual one for me because I've got my daughter Gabriella.
Hi.
And 2 weeks ago, Gabbi plonked herself on my bed and said, oh, she was having a crisis. And you told me, Mummy, it's so weird because no one ever talks about friends and friendships, and I've struggled. And last year I was struggling, and it was only when I actually spoke to a friend did I realise that what I'm going through is normal. And I'm going through stuff again this year. And again, I feel alone, but I'm starting to think that maybe I'm not alone. Lots of people are going through it. But again, no one talks about it. So, Gobs, today you're here as my guest so that you can talk about it, so that you can kind of unpick and unpack the things which people of your age might be going through, or at the very least, the things that you're going through, right? So what I thought we'll start with is we will just launch in by discussing where you're at in your life. So if you want to just share with me how last year impacted on you. You went off to uni. You were living in halls. It was your first year at uni. What was it like meeting people after, admittedly, a very weird 2 years prior, because we had COVID and you were in lockdown, and so you were living in your bedroom, studying.
Not much has changed.
Okay, but that little gap where you went to uni, tell me a little bit about that.
It was a really fun experience overall. So it was really strange living out the house, going from living with 3 sisters to people that I didn't know, which was pretty daunting. But the nice thing about it is that everyone, doesn't know anyone else. Everyone's there to make friends. So for the first few months, it was just exciting, and you go out and you meet loads of new people, and it's lots of fun, like socializing all the time, especially, as you say, after the pandemic. But then around January, I think, so 3-4 months in, I started finding it really difficult. I think that there's a sort of stereotype of what you should be doing when you're at uni, of like the uni student who's out partying, like meeting 100 people, making loads of friends, also making loads of really close friends, like these are meant to be your friends for life. And I just didn't feel like I had that experience. And over the next few months, I was finding it really difficult to keep up with all of the like social activities, both in my halls and eventually even just speaking to people in my classes. And I sort of started to detach from people. Eventually I moved home and I felt a lot better, but I still felt embarrassed because everyone else I knew was living in halls, and for a long time I didn't tell people that I had moved home because I was afraid they'd think differently of me. And eventually I sort of hit breaking point. I was speaking to someone at an event, and they were telling me that they were really confused about this girl that they knew who was always like going home like once or twice a week, and they thought it was so silly and like what a shame she was not making use of the whole uni experience. And even though she wasn't talking about me, I was like, oh, okay, so that's everything that I was afraid of that this person is talking about. And actually, that's their problem. Like, I'm not in the wrong for feeling the way that I did or having the experience that I had that was maybe not the norm. And I started speaking to a few of my friends about it. I told them about how I just couldn't keep up socially in uni. Generally, I'm a person that really likes my space as well. So I think that also has an impact. Being an introvert, where I was living in halls on a floor, sharing a kitchen with 15 people is pretty difficult. And I'm not sure that I just didn't expect people to understand that. I thought that, you were just meant to go off and have fun. And it was when I started speaking to my friends saying, I actually don't really like going out that much, and I don't feel like I've met really close friends. I haven't really connected with that many people, or I'm not really a social butterfly. I don't want to be going out all the time. And even the people who, were posting on their Instagram about all their nights out and stuff, they were saying that they'd felt the same. And I was really surprised because no one else had brought that up to me. Even my closest friends, no one speaks about it. If you ask people how they're doing, they're always just like, yeah, I'm really good. I went out and I had fun and whatever. But no one ever talks about the bad stuff. And it was only when I started saying it that other people could sort of admit that they felt the same. And yeah, I think since then I've just been more open with my feelings, and it's served me better. But I'm still, as you say, I'm still just annoyed because for as much as I'm happy to talk about it, a lot of people aren't.
But okay, so you and I have discussed friendships throughout your life. And we've always had these discussions, I think, because of the work that I do and the fact that I've worked with tons of children and young adults and been through my own journey, which parents do, right? We project onto our kids all the time because we don't want you to suffer in the way that we've suffered and all of that stuff, right? So you and I have had this amazing ability to sit down and talk about you and your needs. And from when you were a child and tiny, you were always the kid who needed time alone. You were the one who needed time out, right? And it was only when I trained in psychology that I worked out that, oh, she's an introvert, and that means that she gets drained when she's with people. It's about energy, right? You need that time alone. You can be with people, you can be the life and soul of the party, but after a couple of hours, you also need to go and hide in a cave and be left alone by everyone for at least a week.
We all have our limits.
No, but it's good that you actually recognize that. But what I find interesting with you is this is something that you've been aware of for years. We've discussed it. But going off to uni, it's almost as if when you describe it to me and you tell now, listening to you, it's as if you forgot that part of yourself when you got to uni. That's what I'm hearing from you, is that you got there and all of a sudden you bought into that social pressure.
Yeah, you feel like you have to be someone you're not. And it's all around you. I think everyone feels that way, in a sense. So yes, I was kind of pretending to be someone I'm not, because also almost as a survival strategy, you need to make friends to, just generally enjoy yourself. You don't want to be going to all of your classes alone. You don't want to be eating all of your meals alone, not have people to hang out with. So I think everyone, in a sense, has to become a bit of an extrovert when they start uni. But I think I just did not manage to find a balance. And that was probably the biggest problem.
If you were to replay this whole experience all over again, let's say, because you left uni last year, right? You did the year and then you left. Mm-hmm. Do you think if you were to go back to uni, if you were to remember the lessons that you've taken from your first experience, do you think you'd play it differently?
I think I would, but I also think, it's difficult to judge. I would definitely maybe value time with myself more from the beginning, because I think I kind of socially burnt out quite quickly. But at the same time, because of the situation, living with 15 people, that's going to be intense no matter what. And that kind of environment doesn't suit me. So I probably would have had a better time, but I don't know that I necessarily would have thrived either way.
But is there a place for introverts at uni, in the sense of, what if you were to tell people, I can't do this, I can't, just if you were to be more open with the people when you meet them, is that possible?
I think it could be. I know that there was one person in my halls who I talked about being an introvert with, and there were lots of evenings where, after everyone be hanging out and talking in the kitchen for hours, he'd just be like, okay, I'm done, bye. and that was something really nice to see, other people being able to own it. And I think there are understanding people out there who would get that, not everyone is able to be socializing as much as everyone else. But it's really hard to start the conversation because of all the pressure. So, like, theoretically, yes. And definitely if there were people that you knew and were comfortable with, and, I'm sure most people would be very respectful about it. But at the same time, if everyone else is conforming to that norm of going out all the time, then you kind of get left behind. And it would be difficult to keep up that level of friendship when your way of keeping up a friendship is not the same as what everyone else is doing.
I get that, but okay, so tell me about that guy who would come into the kitchen and then after 15 minutes leave. How did people respond to him?
I think they were fine with it, to be honest.
Okay.
And it was definitely me. It was definitely my fault in part that I didn't, have the courage to do the same.
It's not about fault. What I'm trying to show you is, because what you're telling me is, it's almost as if you've got one story for yourself and one story for this guy, right? It's, I'm not able to do that because I'm worried people will judge me and I might get left behind. But then you've told me that it worked out for somebody else in your hall, and I'm trying to work out why. Why is it one story for you and not one for him? Is it just a story you're telling yourself because you're scared, because you're afraid of, not being a part of it, because you're worried that you won't make those bonds, and so you're pushing yourself beyond your limitations? Or is it because, there was something about that guy that made it easier for him?
I think a large part of it was on me. And as I said before, just not balancing things out from the beginning. I don't know that there was necessarily anything about him in particular that made it easier for him, other than that he probably was better at balancing out his time. And I remember towards the end, like, I would literally avoid eating in the kitchen pretty much at all costs. I don't know, like, these sorts of things were never really an issue for him, but I don't think he had it easier for any particular reason other than I must have just succumbed to the pressure more.
Which is all I want you to be aware of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the stories we tell ourselves. If you're telling yourself that you have to be a certain way and you have to be a certain person to be accepted, to make friends, to make good friends, you need to look outside and see other people who stray from the norm and do well in life, as opposed to the people who stray from the norm and don't.
Yeah.
Because we always look for the ones who don't, and it's like, well, I don't want to be like that person. and that really is the most important thing, is look for those successes. And then it's that thing of also, and just remember that, I think, you see, for me, it's easy to say, right? Because I'm older, I've lived life, I'm a bit more established. So it's easy for me to look at you and go, well, why wouldn't anyone want to be friendly with you anyway? You're perfect. Oh my God. Okay.
You have to say that.
Definitely on air, I do.
I'll pretend not to be offended.
But there is that thing of, so what I fear about with you is, if you're sitting there trying to succumb to the peer pressure, you're not going to find the people who love you for you. You're going to find the people who love you for the projection of you that you're putting out into the world, right? Now, if you are out every night because that's what you feel you have to do to make friends, then you're going to make friends with the people who are out every night. But that's not your people. And I need you to find your people, and your people will probably be the ones who are not out every night.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be afraid to look for those people. They tend to be the quieter ones that...
And I think I've become better with that as well, because the program that I was on last summer, I became friendly with some people. They were literally here last night. And they're also a bit quieter. It's not that we're all hermits and none of us go out or anything like that and have fun, but they're also quieter, and I guess in comparison to some of the other people on the program. And we sort of bonded over the fact that in the evenings during the program, like some people would go out to the clubs or people would sit down and have a drink with each other, and we were always playing board games. We were always playing Rummy Cub. There were tournaments like most evenings, and that's how I found my friendship group, which is not, most people, not necessarily most, but a lot of people weren't doing that, and they're both equally valid. It's just whoever's more suited for you, I guess.
Which I love. And it's hilarious because you don't see them that often.
No, it's because they don't live in London, because they're at uni in other places. So we meet once a term, and we have a board games night at the end of each term. And it was so funny yesterday when they were leaving. They're like, "Okay, see you next term," and that's kind of it. And we don't even speak that much in between. There's the occasional like little like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" whatever, and that's pretty much it. But still, every time that we regroup, it's still a lot of fun.
So you lived in uni
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of people your age. You socialized with them. You saw them every day. You saw them at mealtimes every day. Do you feel closer to these people who you see once a term than you do to those people who you lived with and saw on a daily basis, interacted with on a daily basis?
I'm not sure that I would say closer, but potentially more comfortable.
Okay.
I think closer is, to be close with someone, you have to speak to them a lot. And as I said, the people from my program, we don't speak very often. Whereas the people in my halls, we did. And it was all talking, which is, a nightmare as an introvert. Well, most of the time. So I would say at the time I was probably closer to the people that I lived with, also, living with them. But yeah, it was weird. Like right after I left, I realized that some people I actually just didn't, and not necessarily just the people in halls, but other people that I'd met while at uni, I didn't really like them that much, or I was speaking to them. It's not that they're not, none of them are bad people. It's just that I didn't really click with them as much as I thought I had. And people be messaging me, or I'd be speaking to people and I'd be like, wow, I actually really don't have that much in common with you, or I don't really connect with you as much as I thought. So, but it's not that I wasn't close to some of these people. I think that just once I had sort of owned my stuff and, remembered more about myself, I realized that I wasn't as comfortable being close with them.
Okay, so now let's move on to now. What's going on with you now? Because you left uni last year and you've done this whole life shift.
Yeah.
You've gone from from being a chemistry student to an art student. So already...
Yep. Not just an art student, at sixth form. Yeah. I'm in my third year of sixth form. So
yeah, because 3 A levels wasn't enough. You've gone back to do...
I'm doing my fourth.
Another one.
Endless studying.
And so you're in this really weird place, which is unusual and not the norm, right? For anyone your age, where you've gone back to school. You're in with people who are 2 years younger than you?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years younger than you. And all of your friends are off at uni still. And you're not the only person. I mean, you live in London, right? So you're not the only person of your age who's not at uni.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Okay. But talk to me a little bit about your life experience now. How are your friendships, the state of your friendships? What's it like with, all of your friends who were your friends and are your friends are at uni?
I think all of them are.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that like for you, being the one who isn't?
I'm not going to lie, there was quite a lot of insecurity at the beginning. Even just telling people that I was going back to sixth form, because that is literally, in a sense, going backwards. Although for me, it's going forwards and I'm progressing, but I have to start from the beginning, all that stuff.
Yay!
But, yay!
You finally see it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now I do. But definitely at the beginning, telling people I was going back to sixth form was really awkward. And people would ask me what I was doing this year, and I'd say, "Oh, I'm going to a college." And they'd be like, "Oh, really? Which one?" And I'd be like, give them the name. And they're like, "Oh, the sixth form college." And I'm like, "Yes, the sixth form college." And they're like, "Oh, you're doing A levels?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm doing A levels." Like, not something I'm massively proud of.
If it's not because you failed your other A levels.
No, I know. I did pretty well in those. But it was really awkward. And I think I was very aware of the fact that I was not at uni, and basically everyone else that I know is. And I wouldn't necessarily say I was left behind because it was my choice, but it was just uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable not doing the thing that other people do. And I think you can also tell just by having conversations with people and they don't really know how to approach it. So after I tell them, yes, I'm at sixth form, I'm doing A levels, whatever, normally when you hear that from someone, you're speaking to like a kid and you speak to them like they're a kid, but I'm not. I'm an adult, and people find that weird. I don't think anyone's necessarily judging me, but it's just very weird. And like the structure of my time is not the same, and the way that I'm learning is not the same. And in terms of socializing, I'm not learning with people who are my age. I don't really see people who are my age unless I go out and make the effort to see the friends who I already have. So I don't really relate very much anymore to people who are at university, just because my experience this year was so different.
When you were talking earlier about you felt this social pressure that you had to go out and go to clubbing and party in the evenings with your friends because that was what you needed to do to be socially accepted. Now, is there even more of that pressure for you to be socially accepted? Because you no longer have that common ground of we're studying in the same way and the same subject even. Mm-hmm. Do you feel more pressure on you? Do you feel, because it sounded like, honey, I know you so well, right? I'm your mum. And I know that it doesn't take much for you to feel bad about yourself and make yourself.
Oh, thanks.
No, but like all of us, right? We all do it. We all are really, really good at talking ourselves down. Does it stop you from making friends now? The fact that you have two strikes against you. The one that you don't like going out too much and you aren't studying in the same way, doing the same thing. Is that making it harder for you?
I think it comes back to what we said before. I don't think that it's harder to make friends. I think you just have to be... I'm more aware of sort of specifically finding people who are more like me, because we have so little in common now. I don't study the same thing as you. I'm not even studying at the same level. And maybe I don't really like going out that much and other people do. You're kind of forced to connect in a different way, and I think that was actually a very good thing for me. So I don't think that it is harder to make friends. I think it's harder in the sense that because there are two things that could work against me, it can, that rules out a lot more people sometimes. But it's not a bad thing. Like I'm still able to make friends. I'm still able to to do that. You don't bond over we go to uni and we go out, which is, not really the things I would value most in myself anyway. So
I love that because when I think of who you were 5 years ago, you struggled more, right?
Oh yeah, I hated school.
Yeah, and you struggled in your friendships, and it was you struggled to own who you were, and you really cried a lot.
Yeah. I was a teenage girl.
Yeah, you really were. Oh my God, you really were. But you've really come a long way, because it sounds like you're really owning who you are and actually more comfortable in yourself, which is going to make it easier. But I mean, I see you, and I know how hard it's been the past year. Finding your place in life, not just socially, but just finding your place. You know, you've made this massive shift, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I'm going to explore this creative side. I know I am an artist, but you need to find your voice. You need to find your mode of expression. I mean, you've got this massive shift happening in your life at every single level. But having you sit here today and tell me, but I know who I am, it kind of, you know,
more at least.
Yeah,
a bit more.
Well, you're owning yourself. How is that impacting on you going out there trying to make friends? You know, how does that, what are you doing now that you wouldn't have done 5 years ago? Do you see the difference?
Yeah, no, I definitely see the difference.
Okay.
I do see the difference, for sure. As you said, I really struggled at school. And it's not that I didn't get good friends out of it. I did.
Yeah, you do. You've got lovely friends.
I do. I have some really, really good friends. I'm very lucky. But I think it was more like having a friendship group, which was always, you know, it wasn't that there was necessarily drama. It was just always changing.
Actually, that's interesting.
What?
You've never really been a friendship group girl.
No, I much prefer to see people one-on-one or in like a small group.
Yeah.
But if there's more than like, I don't know, like 8 people in a room, like, I just, you know, that's how you're going to actually get to speak to anyone.
But also, you've never really liked the whole, these are my friends, and we all travel on as a pack. Yeah, right? Do you think it's that you've taken the pressure off yourself to be part of a particular social circle?
Probably, yeah. And I think that's also partly being drawn out of a circle. I'm not in a uni circle. I'm in 6th form, but like I don't really connect much with them. And I guess all the other circles that I was part of, I wasn't really part of many, to be honest. It's mostly uni and maybe a couple societies, but even those I don't really keep up with anymore. But the people that I do know from them who I like are the people that I still speak to. I guess I just don't really mind, like not really being in a social group. Like as long as I have friends and I see them, why should it matter if it's in a group or not?
So funny. I never thought of it until now. But I think that's what you struggled with when you were younger, was you needed...
Well, everyone else is in a group at school.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way that it works. And there were actually like people who I would be friendly with outside of my friendship group. Some of my closest friends now are actually friends who I had outside of my friendship group from when I was younger. Which just goes to show, like, you know, I'm sure for some people a friendship group is really important and they like having however many people who they know are their close friends. But I'm kind of happy just, you know, floating around, finding whoever, you know, doesn't really bother me.
And when you look at your sisters, because you've got 3 sisters, everyone is so different in this house.
Yeah.
Do you think that impacted on you in any way? In the way you perceived who you should be, what you should be doing? Because, I mean, look, let's face it, you don't have one mother, you've got 4. And everyone has parented you in this house. And I know that your sisters have lovingly come to me and said, you know, Gabbi needs to do this and Gabbi needs to do that.
Really? Because I don't feel like I ever had that much pressure from them. Oh, yeah. No, I'm really... Well, that's great. They gave it all to you, not to me.
But yeah, no, because
I don't think I ever felt pressure from them. I think if anything, because I would go to them if I was really upset or if something had happened or if something went wrong, and they were always really supportive and would validate me. And if anything, it's you guys, my immediate family, that have made everything a lot easier. You know, even when no, it's true. Even at like big family functions where I've been like really drained and just needed time to myself. And other relatives might have thought I was being a bit rude for not interacting with them as much. And you guys always stuck up for me. So no, I never felt any extra pressure from my sisters. It didn't make it worse at all. I think I saw what other people were doing, and I think at times when I was feeling really low, it didn't help having it, in my face. But that's not their fault. They didn't do anything bad. So
love that. How did you get to where you are now?
I think just experiences that really push you and test it and stuff like that. And also you've also been a part of that. Like my mum has always sent me on summer camps and been pushing me to go and do extra classes and extra stuff like that.
You
to
cried
meet people
every day.
Yeah, no, I hated most of them. I hated like at least 80% of them. I'm not a summer camp person. Like I don't have like spirit.
Do you understand the
anything.
guilt of receiving those phone calls of, why did you send me? Mommy, why did you do this to me?
Well, this is your gratification. I finally understand what you were doing now. And as much as I really did not enjoy any of those experiences, I still learned from them. I think with every time that you're in a place where there's social pressure and everyone is socializing and making friends, and I don't know, there's like high drama and everything's really fast paced, and you're just sitting back like, I really don't care, or I don't relate to these people. It just reaffirms who you are, and every time you can remember that and bring that to the next experience, so that instead of being a bit uncomfortable, you can just be fine with it and look past it. It makes it easier. And I'm sure that definitely uni was a very big part of that for me.
I love that. I love that you're actually able to see that, because I know that currently life hasn't been ideal for you, right, socially. Your friends are all at uni. Meeting people has been...
It's a bit difficult.
It is.
Well, because the main way that I've been trying to meet people is through student events, the same sort of events I was going to last year, because that's where most of the people my age are. And I've been to quite a few, and there are some really lovely people there. And I don't know, maybe if I went more often, that would also help, to be fair. But I still think there's still that disconnect of, this is a student event for people who are at university, all sharing that sort of experience.
It's in your head.
I don't know.
That's in your head.
No. This is what I'm saying. I'm not perfect. I haven't
No,
completely
I know.
overcome it.
No, but there you go. So you're doing it again, hon. You're doing that thing where you tell yourself you don't fit in and you're looking for reasons why you don't fit in rather than looking for the reasons why you do.
But it's not always that. It's that when you go to these events and you meet people, they'll say like, oh, come out with us and come do this thing. It's never like, let's just go get a coffee and relax.
But is that because you're being led by them? I mean, have you tried doing that?
Have I tried doing that?
Well, how about you being the one who says, do you mind if we just go for a coffee? It'd be fun to just get to know you, talk to you. But I know. I'm okay. No.
Have you
don't
met me?
No, I know. No, but that's exactly it.
I'm very shy.
No, okay. Blah. But that's it. But that's exactly it. You're stopping yourself. If you don't engage with people in your way and you keep allowing them to lead you, you're not going to get the kind of friendship that you want from them.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and this is going to sound really bad to say, is that at some of these events, there are people who are outside of the norm, but are also, some of them are a bit strange, and you kind of don't want to be. But this is, I don't mean it in a bad way.
I was one of the strange kids, so go on.
I don't particularly want to be one of the strange kids.
Okay, we're going to break that down because I can't. So you talk about the kids who are slightly different to the average kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
you are one of those. But the thing is everyone is one of the. This is just it. This is what drives me so mad, because I had my friend James, who said, you know, he went to high school and it was like Heather's. Okay, he said you had the popular kids, you had the this kid, that kid, right? Right. Okay, fine. So everyone has this. Okay, everyone has that life experience.
Yeah. I feel like that's a bit less in the UK though.
I don't know.
What?
Well, no, because
Maybe
remember,
I'm lucky. I don't know.
no. Okay, so I work with loads and loads of kids, right? I've been working as a therapist for so many years. And I see the popular kids, I see the kids who describe themselves as, you know, the nerdy ones. I've had the ones who describe themselves as the sciencey ones. So, and everyone has, it's unbelievable. There is this underlying insecurity of, but I'm really different to everyone else. No one really knows. I need to play this role. I need to be this person. And so what you're describing is, you know, there are those kids who are a little bit, I don't think they're the strange kids. I think they're just the kids who are a little bit more comfortable being themselves.
Yeah,
and
it's definitely more that.
Right?
It's definitely not that they are actually strange. I think that they are branded that way sometimes by people who don't understand them.
Right, so you're afraid of being branded.
Yeah. Who isn't?
Yeah, no, I get it. No, totally. I still live like that. I get it completely. Okay? But the more you carry on fearing the branding and the more you don't engage with people in the way that you want to engage with them, the more you perpetuate that cycle of misery, because you're not meeting the people you want to meet. You're not going out in the way that you want to go out. You need to start owning, you know, and look, you live with me, you know I'm odd. And
in the best way possible.
Yeah, in the best way possible. But I'm odd. I know I'm different. But everyone is different. And it's just that thing of, I embrace my difference now. It's taken me 40 something years.
Very encouraging for me.
Right.
20 more years to go.
I know, but
halfway there.
You got the odd genes, baby. And it's that thing of, I am happier now because I'm no longer trying to live that role. And I did it for years. It was exhausting. I was miserable. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't really have good friends. And the good friends that I did have, when it came to it, I worked out weren't really the kind of friends I needed in my life, because when the facade broke down and I actually started living like me, we weren't aligned anymore. And I think that's what I'm trying to teach you as your mum, is you need to really own yourself and like celebrate your oddness and be odd. And if people think you're strange, that's fine. Those people, they're not your people anyway. You just, I know you've heard this so many times, and I drive you mad, but you'll be happier, and you will find those 2-3 good friends that you're looking for, who really love you for you, who really support you for you. But what's stopping you is you. It's not the choice of people out there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I remember that sometimes. Just not all the time.
Okay, so we're just going to brand it, tattoo it on your arm when you go to these social events.
Oh, yeah, that
don't
would
be
really
afraid
help
to
my
invite
case.
people out for coffee instead of going clubbing. But it's that, you know, you've seen it with your sisters, that you've seen it with other friends as well. The more authentically you live. I hate that word because it sounds so new age, but it is true. The more you live like you, and you just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You know, people will love you for you, and those who don't, it's okay. They're not your people.
Wise words.
Yeah. Okay. Stop.
I'm not mocking you.
No. Yeah. Moving forward, if there was anything, you told me you wanted to be able to speak about your life experience, because you want others to know that it's okay to be themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the thing that I want to leave you with, the only way other people do it is if you do it as well. It's kind of that interplay between everybody. If everyone starts living as themselves and accepting themselves and valuing themselves, you invite others in to accept you and invite and value you. But if you're not doing that for yourself first, you're putting out into the world this version of yourself that's not real, and then You end up feeling the way you've been feeling.
Yeah, I get that, and I've definitely seen that as well. As I said, I had no clue that other people had felt the way that I felt until I had started speaking about it. So I definitely agree.
Okay, baby, I love you so much. Thanks for doing this today.
Love you too. No, thank you.
Okay. Love you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.